I did furnish a map in that packet of the 84 turbines as cited by, as approved thus far, or as submitted thus far to the FAA, primarily in Ogden Township and a few in Riga. So you can see that, and see where we're located, what kind of densities we're talking about.
Any other comment?
Hi, I'm Jamie Schmitz. I'm the president and CEO of WLB TV40. I just met Eric Jinks, our vice president of science and technology. To answer your question one step further, TV stations of Toledo are located in what's called the Oregon Tower Farm. And so their effect for the people in this area is basically 4 townships. And I am sure that they're doing their studies. We just found out about the situation relatively recently. And we said, well, we're not anti-wind, we're not anti-green, we're just for responsible siting. And so we had the study, and it came out 3 days before the Riga Township, 4 days before the Riga Township Planning Commission meeting. And it had taken 3 weeks for that study to be performed by a very reputable source. And I am sure that the other TV stations in Toledo are preparing their own studies. It just takes time. You cannot do these at the drop of a hat. But they're as is pointed out in page 6 in our conclusion, it talks about WLB, because this study was entitled a report prepared for WLB TV40 regarding impairment of WLB TV signal from proposed wind turbines near Blissfield and Jasper, Michigan. And point 6, Dr. Wallace writes, it is also noted that those areas adjacent to the proposed turbines and areas north and west of the proposed wind turbines would likely experience similar impairments to receiving the other Toledo television stations using over-the-air antennas. These areas would likely encounter similar degradation of television reception and the EAS emergency signals associated with the impairment of those stations from a public safety standard. All 4 townships, according to the 2000 census, has a little over 6,200 people. The effect to the Toledo broadcasters is minimal. The effect to us is over 815,000 people because of the fact, like Eric pointed out, our tower is so close at 511 feet, 512 feet, going across the tips of blades across the 4 townships at 497 feet. What it does is it literally, because we're the only licensed station, full power station in Lenawee County that's located in Fairfield Township, it will literally turn the signal into confetti, or it'll shred it. But also the signals coming in from the Oregon Tower Farm, when they hit the turbines coming into the farm, as it's trying to get to television receivers, it'll also turn those signals into confetti. And so those stations, you do their studies, but the effect of them is 0.5% of their broadcast area. They're hitting 3-4 million people. It's an unfortunate occurrence, but it's an unfortunate occurrence. But WLB, on the other hand, because of our proximity, it basically wipes us out. So there's a little bit more meat to the bones on that question. I would like to submit the study that was done. I'm sorry, we just found out about tonight's meeting just a few hours ago.
You can make that.
Thank you very much. There's the study. It has the credentials of the people that put it together. There is my cover letter. And then we also prepared some ordinance language that we think would help everybody to come to a good compromise position in this. So we prepared this document as well. It's a very important document. And then we did all the supporting document that we referenced in our ordinance language that we like to propose to the township board, or to the planning commission, zoning commission. Sorry, everyone has their own names. So if you hand those to the chairman. Thank you very much for your time. And I do appreciate the significant challenge that you as elected officials have. I appreciate all the time that you're putting into this. It's probably in the last 30 years, you've probably never been faced with such a monumental decision, in my estimation. Thank you.
Any other comments? Anybody want a wind farm?
Don't call it hard.
So we'll close the public comments then. Nobody else has anything to say. You want a motion on that? You want a motion on that for anything? No, I don't think so. All right. I've got questions. I think there may be some the other members may have some questions. We will clear up one thing. We're nominated, we're not elected. So that's the township board. We've kind of come with the idea that we've been asked by the board to provide an ordinance. That's what we're gonna do. I've got a couple of things that I did ask about the height of that tower. We talked about some stuff the other night,
Yeah, we was a little concerned about the safety potential of the heights, kind of directed to the wind people. How are we gonna take care of someone when they get hurt up there? Township safety department. We don't have any ladder trucks that are gonna.
No, I talked to the fire chief here a while ago, but basically, the people that service the wind farm, these 7 to 8 to 9 people, they do their own rescue work. They don't really want or require any assistance from the local fire department. All they request is a ambulance at the bottom if something should happen.
I guess one thing I might add to that, during construction, and it's not always the case, but a lot of times during construction, construction companies will work with the local firefighters, emergency responders, coordinate some height rescue training too, and the fire departments benefit from that, that training that they get as part of that too.
Now, how readily available are these people? I mean, we talking hours? If they're up there working on the turbine, someone passes out with a heart attack up at the top. I mean.
Well, no, there'll be 8 or 10 full-time employees, operation and maintenance personnel.
On the site,
At the
or
site.
in the general, okay.
Right, or in that general area.
Right, okay.
And always if there's another employee up in the tower. I mean,
I would hope.
that's not something, there'd be a single person doing.
I had a question about setbacks. How negotiable are setbacks to the project? I mean, if there was an extension of the setback distance, that would most likely reduce the number of turbines, and how negotiable is that?
I should tell you who I am. I'm John Bullock. I'm from RMT. I'm a consultant. I work with Great Lakes Wind and Exelon Wind. I guess I don't know how to really answer the question how negotiable the group is with respect to setbacks. The setbacks that we've proposed are protected from the standpoint of ice thrown or a turbine falling over. Those things, we really encourage, rather than talking about just setbacks, you're looking at the noise standards as well. I mean, the noise standards essentially establish a setback in a way as well. So for instance, if one had a turbine model that was louder, that turbine would inherently have to be set back farther to meet the noise sound requirements of the ordinance. So rather than just talking about setback levels, really, once you get past, say, safety setbacks for turbine falling over, for instance, then the setbacks are really driven by the sound standards or the shadow flicker standards that you put in place. So,
Apparently Germany setback mandated a 1 mile setback from research I've looked at, and so I'm just wondering if we suggest in the ordinance that this setback be extended beyond what is recommended, what that does to the project.
Well, at some sense, I mean, at some level, obviously it depends on what the number is, but it'll have a significant impact on the possibility of installing wind turbines in the township. And that's why, you know, we advocate for reasonable setbacks that are protected from the sound standpoint, the shadow flicker
So
standpoint.
you feel that if there were a reduced number of wind turbines, that would not provide a return on investment?
I actually can't speak to that really, but, I mean, obviously, at some point, that would be the case. I mean, if a setback is so high that it excludes wind development from the township, then certainly that would eliminate any return on investment.
May I respond to your question?
Sure.
Just to address the negotiability of setbacks, as I stated, the IICC maintains the position that a 1 mile setback is needed. Riga Township kind of took your thought and said, well, gee, you know, some citizens are asking for 1 mile, the developers are asking for 1,000 feet or 1,320, about a quarter mile. Riga's planning commission has recommended a half-mile setback. And I heard 20 different people associated with the developers, either farmers who have side leases or people that are employed by the developers, come in and to the Riga Township public hearing last month, or earlier this month, and comment that a half-mile setback was exclusionary ordinance, that it was, in their opinion, illegal, that it was an attempt to keep wind out of the area. So, and that's just a quarter mile larger setback than what they're asking for. So, from my perspective, it doesn't appear that it's negotiable at all. It appears that it's their way or no way. And to address the notion that 1320 is sufficient for safety, I would direct you to a website called betterplan.squarespace.com. There is a town called Union in Wisconsin, and they have went through this process already back in 2008. They had a citizens committee rather than a planning commission that came in and did a very comprehensive study of a lot of different issues. And in their report, they point to, I don't want to say the name and I'll get it wrong, but there's an organization that has tallied up all the different incidents of blade failure or ice throw since 1999 through 2008. And there were over 500 incidents involving ice throw, blade failure, turbines toppling, you name it. So these are real events that do occur. That's 2 per year around the world. So these are real events that do occur. And there's been demonstrated ice throws up to 1,800 feet, including bits of a turbine blade that were found across a street from a farm where turbines were located. So the notion that 1320 is sufficient when there is evidence that turbines have thrown debris 1,800 feet, it's simply false. It's just not sufficient setback.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have a question for you, Dale. Is there an administrative fee on the carbon tax?
Not in this township, other townships.
I have a question here for the wind people. Is there any plans to ask to be exemption or exemption on the property tax?
No.
I found out here you have the right to do that. We also have the right to deny that, but
There's no REN zones available for wind farms in the state of Michigan.
well,
There might be in
this says
some
here-
areas.
This stuff says here that something about alternative energy personal property tax exemption. I got sent to me today by the Michigan, or by the Michigan Township Association. I'll give you a copy of it. You can